following podcast is part of the Underdog Sports Podcasting Network. For a full list of our shows, as well as breaking sports news and engaging feature stories, visit us at www.theunderdogsports.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Armchair Ninja Podcast. It is Wednesday, March 14th, 2018. My name is Rich, and joining me once again this week is Bijan. How are you making out?
I'm good, bro. Getting back on the wagon, working out, feeling great.
Oh, you're on the wagon. I thought you'd be off the wagon. You ran the course. I figured you'd be hitting KFC right afterwards.
Dude, I was. These past few days, I've just been eating everything possible because, there was, 3 weeks I couldn't eat anything. Just straight up, spinach, kale, grilled chicken, I am not one of those dudes that are on, great diets. But really, just got to prepare. I got Spartan Beast in, a month and a half, so I need to prepare.
Ah, okay.
Back to hiking. Okay. All that really, really fun stuff,
Sounds really exciting.
Yeah.
But speaking of exciting, USA versus the world.
Dude. It's so good. Every year, everything about this is so fantastic. I really enjoy every aspect of it, the camaraderie, but also the competition aspect. And I don't know, it's like Ultimate Beastmaster meets American Ninja Warrior. I don't even know who can claim it at this point. It's great stuff.
It is really good. I do have one nitpick, and I think I'll save it for later. We'll get to that.
Is it the points?
Yeah, the scoring system.
It's the points.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll touch that. Do you want to do it now, or how do you feel?
Okay, well, let's talk about the changes, right? So there were some changes to the scoring system and everything with the new teams. We've got 4 teams now in each round.
Love it.
Yeah, the 4 teams is great. Having 4 competitors per team works out pretty good. We've got a point system that basically covers stage 1 and 2. I think we'll talk about that one first. We'll kind of get to them as it goes through the episode. So stage 1 and 2, they get 3 points for being in first place, 2 points for being in second, and 1 point for being in third, and fourth gets 0 points.
So far, so good.
After stage 2, the lowest point team gets dropped. I think that's a good format. I think that works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. I really, really like the fact that they've got the graduated tiers in terms of points, depending on your ranking, and for each heat too. It really puts a lot of pressure on every single run, and yeah, I mean that's good stuff. I understand where some people are going to have some problems with the points being wiped, and I'm really curious, Rich. How do you feel about that?
I'm okay with the point wipe, to be honest. That part didn't bother me too much. I could see why people would have issue with it, like you said. To me, we might as well get right into it. Let's just jump right to the end. I don't like how it's decided in the end. There is a huge difference between the original climb off that we had, where it was to decide a tie. That's a great tiebreaker. But to have that, it basically takes a team competition and boils it down to a solo competition every time. If that's how it's decided in the end, whoever's got the best rope climber wins the whole thing. I mean, you got to get there to it, but really that's what it boils down to.
Yeah, it's Ultimate Beastmaster Season 1 all over again, right? It's all build up, and then the best rock climber in the end wins, right? It's hard, man, because I really like how everything happened. And I did not mind, even though I fully understand if somebody does have a criticism about the points being wiped, I didn't mind it too much because there were the consequences of something being dropped. With you now talking about it, the fact that there is such a disparity in skill when it comes to the end, and disparity isn't even the right word because there were less than a second in difference between Bryan and McColl, but you're talking about Team Europe that was almost completely knocked off in the first portion, the first kickoff, right? And then they managed their way into the end, and they have the best rock climber in the world. So, anybody from Team USA or really any of the other teams are going to have a really, really tough task ahead of them. What would you find better?
Maybe if there was more than one climb off at the end, I think that might do it. I'm not sure what I want exactly. And to be honest, it didn't really occur to me. Something about it was nagging at me, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. Actually, you got to give a shout out to Nathan Stinson on Twitter, who posted a little rant. He was much more upset by it than I was, that's for sure. Let me quote here. I thought it was a great episode with a pathetic ending. Just a disgrace the way they end such a great competition.
Wow. Okay, that's a little harsh. Like, let's calm down, y'all. Let's take a chill pill. It wasn't. I wouldn't consider it like a travesty, or anything like that. It's one of those things where this is, at the end of the day, this is all for fun. The stakes aren't that extreme. They're not playing for $1 million or anything like that. But it is national pride, and it is meant to be fun. I don't know. I feel like maybe if they manage a way to do a relay or something like that, that might work better. Maybe like Ninja versus Ninja type thing. But at the end of the day, they are beholden to the course, and this was filmed the day after, or maybe a few days after. I don't know the logistics, but very close to the time of the end of Vegas finals of season 9. So I don't know how much modifications they can make to the course, and necessarily in a safe way, right? Because the tower and everything's built the way it's built. It's tough, but I fully understand what you mean by the whole climb off at the end. Really, I think it just speaks to me, like, my opinion of stage 4 just being really lame, to be honest with you. Climb a rope. There's so many much better things you could do. End it with a rope climb, but there's something you can put in the first half of that.
I wonder if you could keep the 1, 2, 3 points and have 3 of the 4 competitors run stage 3, right? Do it all on stage 3 and have the tie decided by that 4th competitor in a rope climb if it comes down to it. That you're not taking the best rock climber in the world. You're probably going to use them on stage 3. I would rather see, them try to strategize, trying to save. Who do they save for the rope climb if it comes down to a tie, and trying to mix and match that way and get more stage 3, because, jumping towards the end again here, but the stage 3 runs were what I was looking forward to. I wanted to see somebody go deeper into stage 3, and that was very disappointing.
Yeah, I don't blame any of the competitors. This was one thing that I always talk about or, bring up, is that fact that the reason I always choose Team USA to win this whole thing is because Team USA are going to have experience on this particular course. Drew Drechsel and everybody else that's on Team USA had just run this course, or most of this course, I should say, just a few days prior. Everybody else, this is very new to them. Maybe they were able to practice a few times over the course or whatever. But still, they're going in with the disadvantage of not having that experience. And this sport is just, it's equal mental with physical. Everybody there has the physical attributes to complete everything of the course, right? But it's that mental, figuring out the strategies and the techniques involved. And even if you figure it out, like, mentally, it's one thing to mentally have the technique down. It's another thing to actually transition your body to doing it in relative ease. And we saw some of that bear its head in stage 2. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to be too negative, man. I really enjoyed this and everything. It's a lot of the things that just come with the territory. There's no real fix for that. And I don't know. Anybody taking it too seriously, guys, it's a fun competition. What can I say?
Yeah, that was it for my negatives. Nothing but positive from here out. Let's take a look here. Stage 1.
Dude, now I think about it, though, before we even get to stage 1, I gotta say, I am ashamed of myself by the fact that I was sleeping on the level competitors that were from the other teams last week. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, it's like a few guys, I'm sure they're really high up. I'm like, no, like, It seems like every other dude from all the other teams have won like their version of American Ninja Warrior or American Ninja Warrior, like their country's version of Ninja Warrior, or like the Last Man Standing. Like these dudes are so legit, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm starting to like, oh, how is Team America again? Like who's on the team? Like it's
hard.
Like,
it's really hard
when they start like doing the vignettes and just showing these guys. I'm like, oh wow, like these guys are legit. But then it always goes back to, yeah, they're legit, but like they're physically there, but it's a whole other thing to actually know how to do the obstacles. But yeah, just shame on me for not realizing just the level of competitor.
They're all very skilled at what they do. Just some of them don't really do ninja, so that kind of puts them at a huge disadvantage on this course.
Mm-hmm. But some sure do, I'll tell you that.
Yes, they do. We kicked off the episode. I have to mention the very first run of the episode. Joe Moravsky takes the course and is just flying through it, like we know so Joe can do. Smooth and just effortless, right? He just never really looks like he's struggling. But Joe ended up falling on domino pipes. Just totally took me by surprise. I never would have guessed that. I could have guessed 10 different results, and it wouldn't have included that.
Yeah, it kind of kicked off the theme of the episode for me, which was a lot of the ninja killers being obstacles, not really expected to be the ninja killers. And yeah, I mean, Domino Hill got him, but this is a different mentality going into this competition. You can't just take your time. You can't just be 100% focused on like your thing. Like in many aspects, the pressure is not there, but at the same time, you were thinking about speed, time frame, and a bunch of other factors. Not to mention, the American Ninja Warriors might be a little bit more fatigued, but the other competitors might not have the experience down. So there's a lot of detriments and small factors that probably play a major part throughout this entire night. And I think it gets elevated each stage we go, the further we go.
Were there any other runs that kind of stood out to you in stage one? I'm just kind of looking through the list here.
Dude, it's more the competitors and like it's the whole thing. Like Thuc Lee, like I don't know why I always just call him Thug Lee. I know that's not his name, but it just sounds like it. Dude, like as soon as they brought up his name, I'm like, I know that name, and then they showed his. I'm like, oh my god, that's that one dude. Like this guy's been killing it all over the world. They kind of highlighted and hinted like he's been doing a lot of competitions worldwide. But this guy, when you guys Google him, this guy has been doing a lot. And I was really excited to see him, run stage one. He didn't get very far. I forget where he fell, but he fell fairly early on. But I think it was a spider jump, right?
No, it was the double dipper thing there.
The double dipper even earlier.
Nasty dismount off of it. Yeah, it was a painful looking one. Dude,
double dipper is tough. It's one of those obstacles where you either got it or you don't. It's not. It's tough. Yeah, just. I feel like he's the one competitor, even more so than Yusuke Morimoto, where we didn't necessarily see all that they're capable of doing. And I was really excited to see him. But yeah, I'm glad he got some time to shine, like showing his accolades and stuff to people. What's the guy's name from Latin America? The guy from Venezuela. That guy was
Karl
like
Fo.
Karl Fo.
He had the best segment of the night for sure. Mm-hmm. Totally drawn into that.
Same as last year, man. Remember his story last year?
I do remember, yeah.
It's I don't know, it's gut wrenching. It's how do I put this? Him as a competitor and a human being, you're drawn into him. The way he talks and everything, some people just have natural charisma and you're just drawn into them, and he has that. His storyline is just so deep, and yet he's one of those competitors where it's impossible not to root for him.
Yeah, I was really rooting for him. He had a pretty good opportunity because of some of the earlier falls. Nobody had completed the course at this point. And for those that don't remember which one Karl was, he had been last year. He had come to Ninja Warrior with, not even proper nutrition for the weeks leading up. Most people are, kicking into high gear as they're preparing for a big competition like this. He was starving practically before he got there.
Yeah, what do you say, like waiting for hours on end just in a food line to get some food?
Yeah, it was awful last year, and he was now a refugee in Spain. And Venezuela is still in chaos, but he still, was running for his home country. It was a really nice story. Glad to see that he's doing better. He's getting the nutrition he needs to compete, and he did great. He ended up beating the stage and ended up getting full points for Latin America. So Latin America took the early lead, which was a nice change of pace to have, the team switching up.
Yeah, I loved it. It's one of the things that we get on American Ninja Warrior, and particularly USA versus the World, where, these are some real things that we're discussing. It's no longer like, I forget his name, the big dude, but I have a dog and I train with my dog, which is fun. But like, this guy's living some real stuff, and it's actually highlighted on one of the top shows on television, and we rarely get that. So I enjoy these types of stories a whole lot. Obviously, it would just be a complete downer if every person had a story like this. But I find it refreshing, the dynamics and the diversity of storylines and backgrounds that these competitors are coming from. And I don't know, it was great story. I'm happy for him. And I gotta say, Rich, I kind of feel bad for saying this. For most of the episode, maybe not until the very end, I was rooting for a team that's not Team USA. I have to admit, most of the episode, I'm rooting for Team Latin America and Team Asia most of the way. How are you, in terms of, your favorites?
I was really rooting for Latin America, too. I had a lot of favorite competitors. I don't know if I had a real favorite team, but I gotta say, coming out of stage 2, I was loving the battle for third place, and probably more than I liked the ending, battle. That, trying not to get eliminated and everybody giving their all to get a spot, I thought that was really compelling. Yeah,
it was good stuff. So, final thoughts on stage 1. What were you thinking? Any last minute things you want to talk about? I mean, we got Tomohiro Kawaguchi, one of the, favorite Sasuke competitors. I'm glad that he came back. He I don't know. I'm happy to see him. It's hard to talk about Team Asia because we saw so little of him, but I'm glad he was actually repping Team Asia. I mean, say what you want about previous seasons. I have to say, Team Asia definitely brought some of their strongest guys this year. So Team Asia did how they did, but I can't complain about who they chose.
Yeah, I thought it was a good team. I think there's a lot of potential there. They had some good moments, which is better. Honestly, they've had some really bad years in the past. For them to have some good moments was a nice change of pace, even. Mm-hmm. I really liked Danee Marmolejo from. He was so entertaining on the chorus.
Dude's just brimming with charisma.
Yeah, he had a great. Well, it didn't end up working for him, but I agreed with his strategy of taking his time somewhat and beating the course, and basically leaving it. Drew's coming up. Drew, the only person that's going to beat Drew is Drew, right? Maybe he'll go too fast and fall. That's about the only thing you can hope for. And Sergio from Europe, who gets my vote for MVP of the night, or either him or Sean McColl, one of those two. But Sergio was fantastic. Ended up posting up a good time. I was kind of thinking that Danee's strategy was to make Sergio, have to beat the course, and he'd have to do it fast, or he'd have to do it fast enough to beat Drew, or be trying to, and maybe fall. So I figured he was playing for second place, and he ended up getting third, unfortunately.
I mean, it's good strategy because Sergio's so young. You just don't, if you were to just view the guy, not knowing his background, I'm sure you're he can't have been training that long. Right. The guy just looks like a little kid. But I gotta say, Danee, just what a fantastic character. Man, I want to see more of that guy. He's just so awesome. Brimming with charisma. He kind of shades of Flip Rodriguez in terms of just his fun, almost not needing to be extra charisma. I I don't know. I just look forward to him. I really hope they have him every year because that guy is a delight to see. Sergio, props to that guy. As you were saying, like, the guy brought it. Like, when that type of spotlight is on you, that's a lot of pressure, especially for somebody his age. But he stayed cool and collective the whole time. So, major props.
I just realized they put him up against Drew both times. How mean is that?
I mean, he is a rock climber, right? I mean, maybe they're just like, hey, well, you know, maybe you can cancel out Drew with your rock climbing prowess. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Not on stage one. Drew just blew past everyone. He beat everybody by 14 seconds. Like, it just ridiculously quick as always.
Mm-hmm. By the way, quick shout out for Sergio jumping to the propeller bar and just like hopping off the damn thing and catching the rope. That was so bad, because it's a, you know, family podcast and all, but that was so awesome. Like, major ding for that. That has got to be one of the highlights. Just like low key athleticism.
Yeah, just the way he caught it, just gripped it like C clamps. Just boom, he was done. He's on.
Like a boss, dude.
Stage 2, I was really excited to see. I was wondering if they were gonna modify that ridiculous.
Nope.
Ridiculous. What the heck?
Wingnuts, man.
Wingnut Alley. Wingnut Alley. And they took my suggestion. I said 3 would make a lot of sense. 4 seemed like too many.
Oh, did they? Wait, I don't know why it's been so long. They had 4 last season, and now it's... Wow. I don't know why. I was just like, oh, yeah, it's the same course, whatever.
No, they switched it out. There was only 3 this time. There was 4.
Wow, I totally slept on that.
Yeah, but it's a long... They didn't shorten it, like, you know, where the ending had to be, so you had to transition further to get across and stuff. So it was still very difficult, obviously.
I don't think that was the big problem, though. I mean... The competitors that did it didn't seem like that was the issue. Maybe it's just their next level.
They're pretty next level.
Yeah, yeah, just a little bit. I have to say, this was the stage where it stood out to me how much the mental game and the experience is really going to play a major part. A lot of competitors were very much hampered by the first obstacle. It's not rings. What's the name of it, man?
It's called giant rings or something.
Yeah, you all know what it is. Like, you know, the swinging ring obstacle guys. Multiple, like many competitors had a lot of difficulty on that. And then they were kind of hampered by, what was it, the Wave Runner too? Like, a lot of competitors were having problems with that. And those are 2 obstacles where it's physical and all, but I think it's mental more than anything else. You need to know what you're doing. And yeah, I don't know. I think it was starting to open up a little bit more of like, hey, experience really matters on these things.
Yeah, I think that's it. The technique on those is very specific, and if you're just a general athlete, it's not going to help you as much as it might on a lot of the other ones. So it didn't go so well for a number of the competitors, but a few of them had some epic runs and some epic falls, because Bryan, I was live tweeting through the show. I literally hurt myself when Bryan landed off the wing nuts.
Ooh,
missed the pad. I threw my arm up so much. I got like sympathy pain as Sean hit the deck there. It was just awful to see. I thought for sure, he had it was pretty serious, but I thought it was even more serious than it was.
Yeah, I don't know if your arm's hurting as much as that guy's tailbone. I mean, that guy landed square on there, and I don't care if it's padded or not. Like, that must have hurt so bad. And when you land on your tailbone like that, that knocks everything out of your diaphragm. Your spine gets crinkles up. Like, there is so much more in terms of pain than just like, oh, your butt hurts. It's like, no, like everything in your torso hurts. I can just imagine that guy must have been hurting really bad. And I don't know, it seems like nothing too serious happened, but I have a feeling he was feeling that for a few days. But props to that guy. He was able to get through it, and more so, I'm just really happy he's okay. Sean Bryan, just seeing his biceps and everything, guy is holding on to a lot of muscle. And when you have a lot of muscle, especially on your upper body, it's very easy to tear some of those muscles. So I was a little worried for him because I didn't necessarily know what happened when he fell into the water. But it seems like overall he's okay and he didn't tear anything.
A few other notable runs here. As you mentioned earlier, Morimoto, unfortunately...
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Like, I just so want to see that guy compete in Stage 3 again. Because all I was thinking about in Stage 3 is, man, if the Sasuke guys were here right now, like, who knows, like, how they do on the cliffhanger, but I guarantee you they would have given everybody a run for their money.
Yeah,
And this is the thing, man. Sorry, why don't you make your point?
I disappoint, like, it... I don't even have a point, apparently. No, I just thinking, like, I said earlier I really like the format, but at the same time I was like, I really wanted to see him run Stage 3, and we don't get to see it because they got eliminated there, so I guess the point system can give and take away.
I mean, I don't mind the fact that they have somebody knocked out. It's fine to me. It's cool. The thing that I don't like, and I'm always going to continue to say this, I do not like obstacles where it's less predicated on skill and technique and more just like, you have to be strong enough or whatever to do this. And this is an obstacle like the butterfly wall where it's like, you just have to be able to jump this far. I'm never going to like it on Ultimate Beastmaster with the shock coils, and I'm not going to like it here. It's just so disappointing to see some of the top athletes in the world fall because they couldn't jump far enough. They could have had a trampoline or whatever else, and it would have just alleviated it a little bit more. It's one of those things where it's just a cheap way to see some of the top ninja warriors in the world fall, and I think there's much better ways to add difficulty to an obstacle.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where Ian Dory went out last season too, right? Is that same jump. It's just, if you don't do it quite right, it goes badly. I don't know. I'm glad there's not a trampoline because that's a whole other discussion, but...
It is, yeah, but a tramp in this situation is better than nothing.
Yeah. I
don't know. But at the same time, I understand people can make the argument, well, the guy just needs to work out on his legs more and everything. I'm like, well, yeah. But, I'm 5'11", and Josh Levin is however tall he is. And if I get past that obstacle and Josh Levin doesn't, is it necessarily going to be, oh, I'm a better American Ninja Warrior than Josh Levin? No, not never. That's never going to happen. It's like, no, I was just lucky enough to be born with really long legs. So it's just certain things I don't like about it.
We did have two finishers, though, and two of my favorite competitors, Najee Richardson and Sean McColl, both finished the course.
Dude, I was ready for this. If there are two competitors you want to see on Stage 2, these are the two. Man, I was so hyped, especially for Najee Richardson. I don't know why, but I was like, oh, bro, I got to see this.
Me too, because as soon as he took the course, I was like, oh, I'm going to get him to see him kicking those walls down again. Something about his personality just comes out in his runs, and watching the way he can fly through the air, right? Like, I mean, it's a little cliche because he does the whole flying phoenix thing, but it is true. Like, the way he can lâcher, it's just epic to watch. I could watch him do it all day long.
The Olympic level gymnast, really good at the gymnastics type obstacles.
Go figure.
Yeah.
But I was a little surprised, and I don't know why. I mean, they outright mentioned, and maybe that's why I was a little surprised that Sean McColl was able to finish it. I thought this one would do him in. He's had a few great years of taking down Stage 2 against some of the toughest obstacles, right? The ninja killers from the season. He comes in and does them each time. But I thought this one's got him. There's no way.
Wait, you thought Sean McColl was going to have issue with the... No, come on, bro.
I did. I don't know why I doubted him.
I feel like Sean McColl would have had, like, the toughest obstacle he's faced is still the wedge. I feel like if there was an obstacle that would get him, it's that. Because that is very predicated on technique. You can't just be a phenomenal athlete. I feel like, I don't know, there's a lot of technique and everything involved with these wing nuts, but I don't think it's more technical than the wedge, man.
No, I definitely felt that way last year, and I was wrong then too.
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, oh, the guy with like that can probably hold himself up on a bar for 20 minutes if he wanted to. Yeah, I was pretty confident he had this.
Well, that's the thing. So that's his 4th year in a row beating stage 2. Like stage 2 is where they separate the ninjas out, right? Like there's usually a decent number that finishes stage 1 in Vegas, and then they get just decimated by stage 2. And Sean McColl walks in there and did it 4 times in a row.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's crazy because he's pretty much at the skill level of Drew Drechsel, Joe Moravsky, and people like that. But yet, he doesn't train year-round. Or I could be wrong, but it doesn't necessarily seem like he trains year-round for American Ninja Warrior. It seems like this is definitely a clear second, sport compared to his rock climbing. And yet, he just does it with ease. And it's crazy to me. Like, if they opened up American Ninja Warrior to select, international athletes, I could really see Sean McColl easily, if not winning the show, getting very, very, very deep into it. Kind of being like the Drew Drechsel of Sasuke, that component.
Yeah.
And, it kind of sucks that he doesn't really have a high caliber Ninja Warrior equivalent in Europe, because where is he from, man? He's somewhere in Europe. Is it Britain or what?
He's in France. That's where he's living anyway.
France. Yeah. Do they have a French Ninja Warrior?
I think they do, actually.
Man, he needs beyond that. If it's like anything like UK Ninja Warrior, avoid at all costs, bro. but if French Ninja Warrior is anything like, the Australian equivalent or the Vietnam equivalent, any of these, like the American version, I think he could be kind of the star of it, the face of it, maybe.
He could do the UK Ninja Warrior blindfolded. That would be really interesting to watch.
I don't think he wants to have any affiliation with that.
Probably not.
Abomination.
I don't recommend it, but that is probably it would be a walk in the park for him. It would be kind of funny to have him go in and kind of make a mockery of it. That wouldn't be fun. I don't want to see that.
And now, call me biased, y'all, but now I'm just thinking about Sean McColl on Ultimate Beastmaster. Oh, I could dream. That would be something.
That would be cool. So yeah. Anybody else you want to mention? Stage 2? Anything? Any final thoughts on it?
Just who was the kid? The final kid from Team Asia, where it was like all of it was on him, and the poor guy had to struggle on the first dang obstacle for almost a minute. Like that poor kid gave it everything he had. What a terrible situation, like right off the bat. But he showed so much heart. I mean, say what you want, he didn't get far, but the kid gave it his all. And man, I give him props for that. That was really, really hard to see, but at the same time, really compelling.
It was. That was the part, as I said, it was probably the best part of the episode in a weird way, this battle for third between Asia and Latin America. Asia's competitor, Yosua Zalukhu. I don't know if I get that right, but he had a really terrible time in the rings, but he did manage to get off of there eventually, which I didn't think he had any hope. And then right behind him from Latin America, we had Sebastian Prieto have the exact same problem. Well, not exactly the same, but he had a problem on the rings that took forever too. And you just wait. He had to get past the Wave Runner in order to beat him, and he didn't manage to. He ended up falling on the salmon ladder. But just watching him struggle, and you thought, "Oh my God, which team is going to move on?" It came down to that final run.
Man, entertaining, and it was really like the story of the points. I'm just staring at the point buzzer, and I'm like, okay, so if this guy doesn't do as well, maybe there's a chance they'll tie, and all these different things, and it's just racking through my brain, and I'm cheering certain guys. I'm actively rooting against Team America and other things. I'm terrible for saying. I know I'm horrible, guys, but I'm just like, I wanted so badly Team Asia just to get through, and yeah, it's as soon as it came down to Team Asia or Sean McColl failing on like the first obstacle, I'm like, well, it was fun while it lasted, guys. It was fun while it lasted.
Moving on to stage 3, the points get wiped out, and there's 3 teams left. The points change up now so that they earn 2 points for a first place finish, 1 point for a second, and 0 for a third.
Yeah, it was at this point when I saw that the points would get wiped each round where I'm like, okay, if Team Europe makes it, they win the whole thing. Actually, I was kind of, and I don't know if this is true, but I was kind of feeling like it could be either Team Europe or Team Latin America. But I felt like Team USA would be in a disadvantage just because both Team Europe and Team Latin America have some of the strongest rock climbers in the world. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they can climb ropes very fast, but physically, they are very well equipped for it. Little did I know that we had freaking Sean Bryan, who nobody knew would be just the most amazing climber I've ever seen in my life. But it was around this point where I'm like, ooh, yeah, it doesn't seem like it's going to be Team USA's year.
Fairly disappointing stage 3, to be honest. We had a lot of fails on the cliffhanger. I feel like someone told us from the regular season, maybe it was James McGrath, he's sent us in some little tidbits along the way. The transition that a bunch of them fell on from those 2 clear plastic sections, they're offset. They're not like lined up perfectly. And I think that's what's throwing them off. But why wouldn't they point that out? Why aren't Matt and Akbar pointing out the fact that they have to not just transition perfectly sideways, they actually have to kind of move forward as they transition, which I think is what was screwing them up.
Oh man, I'll have to go back and watch that. I didn't know that. So they're not just swinging sideways, but they actually have to angle forwards too. Huh?
I think so. It looked like it from the angles, and I'm sure we heard that back in the regular season. It's been a while, so I'm not entirely sure. But if you look at it, it definitely looks like they are. I just don't know why you wouldn't call that out. They didn't call it out during the regular season, and they're not calling it out here if that's the case.
I don't know, man. I couldn't tell you. I gotta say though, it was shocking by the fact that nobody got through the cliffhanger. But at the same time, I kind of like the fact that once again, the ultimate cliffhanger is the ninja killer. It makes it just goes back to the fact that it's daunting. Kind of like, the warped wall. All of a sudden, the warped wall, when they raise warped wall just half a foot, all of a sudden a lot more people are failing at it, and it's no longer just an obstacle you expect the top ninjas to get through. Once again, it's that old daunting thing. And I felt like Cliffhanger was the same, where I was like, oh man, everybody's failing at this. I don't know what's going on, but this is something that I really need to pay attention to. And, yeah, I don't know. It sucks that nobody was able to get past it, but I'm kind of fine with it.
I kind of wonder if it would be better if there were incentives for some of these too, for them to complete the whole thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel bad when someone completes the whole stage and they don't get anything for it. Some of them, or they get 1 point. Like, if there was some kind of even a nominal monetary prize, right? So anybody that completes the stage gets this much. I'd like to be more focused on completing than going fast. Do you know what I mean? As fun as it is to see them try to go as fast as they can, I feel like it kind of ruined this episode in spots.
I don't know, man. If we're going to talk about getting a monetary prize, I feel far more stronger about people completing city finals. That every time I see city final courses, I'm like, that is so incredibly difficult. And when you complete the whole thing, you get some fireworks in a little patch. That's the one where I'm like, all right, y'all, you guys can hook those guys up just a little bit. They accomplished something that's very rare.
I thought they did.
This one, I feel ya, but
fastest times in city qualifiers and finals get, I forget, his top 3 maybe?
Yeah, they get something, but it's not really a point that's made, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking, there's been complaints in the past about Team Japan and then Team Asia now getting screwed out of points basically because they're not used to trying to go fast, right? They can complete the course and they can do it well, but they have to do it at their own pace. And the fact that they're trying to race against other people is just not something they're used to doing.
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, think about this, guys. For some of these competitors, this is the first time they are taking on stage 3 ever. It's crazy enough that they get to the point where they're doing the cliffhanger.
But yeah, there's not a whole lot to talk about here. Some weird falls.
I mean, yeah, everybody's falling at the same thing, man.
Basically, yeah.
It was kind of like the same run after run.
Sergio from Team Europe ended up beating Drew Drechsel, so they went 1-1. Drew won stage 1 and Sergio won stage 3. Good for him.
Yeah, I don't know. If anything, I was more like the only thing that just completely stunned me was Drew falling. I don't know why, but it didn't shock me as much for Joe Moravsky. Maybe because at that point I saw so many people fail at the cliffhanger, but I was genuinely stunned when I saw Drew Drechsel fall on the cliffhanger. I was like, whoa.
He looked pretty surprised too. I like the zoom in on his face. You could see his look of shock in his face, like, whoa, what just happened?
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I don't know. On American Ninja Warrior or any obstacles like that, where it's like you're flying through the air and catching yourself. 1 minute you think you have, and the next minute you're like in the water and you're like, what just happened?
Yep. So that meant that moving on to stage 4 was Sean Bryan versus Sean McColl. Team Europe versus Team USA once again. And
I mean,
Sean Bryan, with his injured tailbone, has to take on literally the best climber in the world.
Well, even before that, like, were you shocked that they chose Sean Bryan?
Not really, but I think that's because I kind of had it spoiled. Joe Moravsky started live streaming during stage 2 and mentioned that basically he had decided, I don't know, something, but they had swapped out, and he strongly hinted that Sean Bryan was a better rope climber than him. They wanted to.
Yeah, I guess it's one of those low-key things where it's like, if you know, you know, but if you don't, you don't. And, oh, man, like, I just assumed it would be Drew Drechsel or Joe Moravsky.
Well, here's the thing, though. They both ran twice, right?
Yeah, that was the thing, though. I figured they would know that, so they would save one of themselves for the final stage.
I mean, maybe Najee only got to go once, and Sean Bryan would have too. If they both would have just done stage 2, that would have been it. If it wasn't for the rope climb.
It's crazy because I was genuinely surprised when they chose Sean Bryan, but it's one of those question marks. Sean Bryan and Najee, for that matter, are question marks. I don't say I'm shocked by the fact that I doubt their skills. It's just I didn't know the level of skills they had in terms of training on ropes. At this point, after years of watching them, I have a pretty good idea how well Joe Moravsky and Drew Drechsel are at the rope climbs. And good on Joe for being so trusting to put Sean Bryan in that position, because it's not only a rope climb, but it's also the spotlight. Everything's on this. It's all on this one thing. Good on Joe Moravsky. I feel like the best leaders, the best team captains are the people that put their trust at the right times and kind of like lose their ego. It could have been very easy for Joe to be like, no, I got this, but he didn't. So props to him for that. And I have to genuinely praise Sean Bryan for, first of all, I was completely stunned by how good he is, but man, when you're up against the best rock climber in the world, somebody that his rope climbing prowess at this point is already known, and you go in there and you put on the performance that Sean Bryan did, I mean, wow. I'm genuinely more impressed in this final stage with Sean Bryan than I am Sean McColl. And that might be unfair to Sean McColl, but that's genuinely how I feel.
I guess it's more surprising, right? Like that I was really, really impressed. I couldn't believe how close it was. For the size difference alone, like Sean Bryan's hauling a lot more up that rope, and he did an amazing job.
Yeah, Sean Bryan's 163, 5'10", and Sean McCall's 5'7", and I forgot what they said, but I think it's near like 135.
It's about 130, yeah.
Yeah, dude's a lot smaller, and things like rope climbs and stuff, like, it's way better to be lighter. Let's just say that. Not to mention, Sean Bryan has got a lot more muscle, like bicep muscle and everything, and those things are going to fill with lactic acid. Like, absolutely fill, and you are going to be in some pain halfway up that rope. I don't know. It's just overall the fact that they were only a second apart. It says a lot more about Sean Bryan and his heart, willpower, and everything else you can think about, far more than Sean McColl, who I don't want to take away from it, but it's almost like physically he should be able to do what he did. No shock, and he should be able to do that without a relative amount of just genuine, intense struggle. They both struggled, but I feel like at the end of it, Sean Bryan had to put in a whole lot more of effort, probably, than Sean McColl, just going into their physical attributes.
When you look at their times, too, I don't know if you heard them mention it, but Sean did it faster than Isaac Caldiero did to win the $1 million.
That's crazy, bro. That is absolutely crazy.
And when I look at, I just checked the time here. Sean Bryan wasn't far behind that either, right? He was about a half a second off the pace.
Isn't it at this point kind of, and I don't know how you feel, but really, and it goes back to once again how much I hate the way stage 4 is now, but I really feel like you get past stage 3 and you might as well just hand the person the check, because if you're physically adept to get through stage 3, you can do that rope climb. And I mean, most people in the world can't do that rope climb, but the select few that can get past stage 3, they sure are trained enough to get past stage 4.
I mean, maybe. It is a lot to ask of somebody, but they have an awfully good incentive to throw everything at it, right, as fast as they can possibly do it. And I feel like having someone climbing right beside you must push you a lot better than just, trying to push yourself up a rope as fast as you can. When you see them beside you and they're pulling ahead of you, you're just going to give it everything you have. And I think we saw that with these two.
That's actually a really good point, Rich. The fact that, you have something to compare yourself to in terms of pace and everything else.
But yeah, overall, great episode. Loved to get some A&W
fun, man.
Main Vegas action right in the middle of the winter. Hear some of the seasonal blues here.
Seasonal blues? Man, we got Ninja versus Ninja. There ain't no blues up in here. This is all good times, y'all.
You don't have snow. Don't give me this seasonal. You don't have seasonal blues. You don't have snow there.
I don't know what snow is, but...
Shovel yourself out. I got nor'easters coming on the daily.
Yeah, I don't know that life. It was 79 degrees today and fantastic.
I get another storm coming.
But,
thanks.
Yeah. But I gotta say, props to Team Europe. I'm actually kind of happy the fact that we don't just have Team USA winning each season. At this point, we've had multiple different champions. They're pretty much all Europe and USA, but I do feel like Team Latin America is just knocking on that door. I feel like Team Latin America can easily do this. And I don't know. Team Asia, I love them. They're the team that I'm just always going to be rooting for. I hope maybe they can find some Koreans and Chinese competitors, because we know just seeing them in Ultimate Beastmaster, there's some true talent out there. So maybe we can get some change-ups on Team Asia next year. But I'm really liking this 4-team format. Not really a nitpick or anything, but just a suggestion. I would love to see each country have a 5th member of their team, a 5th female competitor, because you just know there's different female competitors throughout the world. I don't know, just a suggestion that I feel like it would be fun to add a different dynamic to this competition. And yeah, I don't know. Overall, good stuff.
Yeah, I don't know how that would work, because I don't know that the international women's competitors would be up to the level of the top level
there's
American
ones. There's going to be a big
ones.
gap.
Yeah.
There's going to be a big gap in what do you call it? In skill.
Yeah, well, we've already kind of got that going, within the A&W community with the women, right? You put Jessie or either of the Jessies or Megan on that course, and you'd be very hard pressed to find a woman anywhere in the world that's going to be able to hold a candle to them.
True, but at the end of the day, this is a television show, man.
That is
I
true.
don't know. I feel like they wouldn't mind having some female representation up on there.
I wouldn't mind seeing an all-woman team. That'd be interesting.
That'd be dope. I mean, last year, I'm pretty sure Jessie Graff was on Team America.
She was,
so,
yep, and she did great.
Yeah.
She fell. I remembered that as I was starting to watch the episode. I was like, wait, Jessie was on last year, and then I remembered. I guess she fell in stage 1, but then she ended up doing stage 2. It was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, any final thoughts on the episode? Anything? Big summaries?
Yeah, I mean, fun stuff. I don't know. I didn't take it too seriously. Maybe it's just my mindset or whatever, but I had fun with it. And go Team Asia. It's almost sacrilegious for me to say that as an American, but I gotta say, Team Asia is where my heart is.
Yeah, I gotta say, Team Latin America. I was really surprised to get so pulled in by them. Karl and Danee Marmolejo. Those two in particular really captured my attention, and I'm looking forward to seeing them again.
Man, they got some personality for days, bro.
Yep. So that is it for this week. Thank you all for tuning in for this special. If you'd like to reach out to me, you can reach me as rich@ninjapodcast.com. I am at Ninja Podcast on both Instagram and Twitter. And Bijan, how can they reach you?
Yeah, hit me up at Twitter and Instagram at Bijan151. That is Bijan 151.
All right, thank you all for listening, and I hope you have a great week.
Yep. Peace and deuces.